Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines, Iowa, and we are 3 weeks away from Forbidden Door, which is going to be held at the UBS Arena in Long Island, here in New York. And Dynamite tonight, I thought it was just a very mid-show, in my opinion. But tonight on Dynamite, we had a qualifying TNT Championship ladder match where the winner will get to qualify to be in the ladder match at Forbidden Door for the vacant TNT Championship. So it was Jack Perry versus Dustin Rhodes. Roosh was in action, and he had taken on Deonn Rusman. I think that's how you pronounce his name. We had Roderick Strong, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita. They ended up taking on Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Mark Briscoe. Samoa Joe and Hook, they were in action tonight, and they have taken on the premier athletes, Tony Nese and Ariya Daivari. The TBS Championship was on the line where Mercedes Mone ended up defending the title against Zeuxis. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's of CMLL. Then we had Danny Garcia, Mr. Dancer. He took on Nick Comoroto. And the main event, the International Championship was on the line, where Will Ospreay defended the title against Rey Fenix. But overall, Dynamite was just a very mid-show tonight. Like, one match, or like a couple of matches here, could have been on Rampage. Like, the matches that I've seen tonight, they could have held them off for Rampage. Like, Roosh versus Deonn Rusman, that was a squash match. Samoa Joe and Hook versus Tony Nese and Ariya Daivari, the premier athletes, that could have been on Rampage. Danny Garcia versus Nick Comoroto, that could have been on Rampage as well. So I'm like, why are these random matches booked for Dynamite? I don't know. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Dynamite opened up tonight with whose house? Swerve's house. Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Champion. He made his way out, got a big pop from the crowd there in Des Moines. Of course, he was accompanied by Prince Nana. Prince Nana doing his famous dancing. Swerve got on the mic, and he kept asking the fans if they're ready for tonight and for Forbidden Door, as Billy Goat, Will Ospreay, faces him in the main event at Forbidden Door for the AEW World Championship. So, Swerve ended up saying that the match will be two of the biggest stars of this generation will be colliding, and one killer will be competing in the match. Swerve ended up saying that he told Ospreay 10 years ago he'd be unstoppable when he developed his killer instinct. He ended up saying that he saw an assassin get the job done in his match against Kenny Omega last year at Forbidden Door, as was the case against Takeshita and Bryan at AEW Revolution and at Dynasty. Swerve ended up saying that he didn't see that instinct at Double or Nothing. He ended up saying that he needs to have the instinct to dethrone him. So Swerve then credited Ospreay with being a fighting champion, unlike the Young Bucks, the World Tag Team Champions. So that brought out the Elite. So we had the Bucks, we had Okada, and also Jack Perry. They ended up on the stage. They came out on the stage. Okada got on the mic. He kept asking the crowd, whose house is it? So Okada was like, it's my house, bitch. So Nicholas Jackson ended up getting on the mic, ended up saying that they're at ringside to take care of some business. He ended up saying before they address that, they want to talk about how dominant they've been as a group. So we had Nicholas Jackson round off some of the accomplishments that the Elite has done recently. He ended up saying despite all that, they keep getting trolled online by fans and underestimated by roster members in the back. So Nicholas then ended up saying that the Elite will challenge AEW's best in a blood and guts match. Since blood and guts is coming up. So Matthew Jackson ended up informing Swerve that while they don't love what he said about them, they like his style. Matthew ended up saying that Swerve is young and a champion like them. So Matthew ended up inviting Swerve for him to be the 5th member of the Elite's team for Blood and Guts. So Matthew then presented Swerve with a pair of the Bucks' sneakers as a present. Swerve then took the sneakers. Swerve then ended up telling the Elite they got his shoe size wrong. So then Swerve ended up saying that no one wears pearl necklaces anymore. He ended up saying that he's a businessman who does his own stuff. So then we had Swerve end up giving the sneakers to Prince Nana. Prince Nana then tossed the Bucks' sneakers into the crowd, to which 2 guys end up catching the pair of sneakers. So Matthew ended up saying that there's something making a buzz sound. He ended up saying that it's the injury bug that's about to bite Swerve. So Swerve started preparing to fight the Elite, and that led to the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn coming out to even the odds. The Elite ended up sliding out of the ring, wanting nothing to do with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. And so Christopher Daniels, their Adam Pearce, ended up appearing on the ramp. Christopher Daniels ended up telling everyone at ringside to head to the back, except for Jack Perry, because Jack Perry would be having his TNT Championship ladder match qualifying match against Dustin Rhodes. So Dustin Rhodes then ended up making his way down to the ring, and that was basically how the segment ended. But overall, I thought this was a decent segment to open Dynamite tonight. Swerve coming out there, talking about Will Ospreay, just promoting their match, which is going to be in 3 weeks at Forbidden Door, which I am looking forward to the match. I think Ospreay and Swerve are going to tear the house down at Forbidden Door. So, looking forward to it. Like I said, it was a decent opening to Dynamite tonight. And then we had the first match of the night. The TNT Championship ladder match qualifier, Jack Perry versus Dustin Rhodes. Which this was a decent match here. Match ended up getting underway. We had Dustin end up firing off some right hands on Jack Perry. Dustin then connected with a chop on Perry. Perry then responded with a few strikes of his own to Dustin. Dustin then ended up laying a lariat on Perry. Perry then exposed the middle turnbuckle, and he ended up sending Dustin crashing out of the ring. Dustin ended up getting Perry up on shoulders. Perry ended up escaping and sent Dustin crashing into the ring post and into the ring steps. Jack Perry then exposed the concrete on the floor at ringside, but Dustin then connected with a back body drop on Jack Perry. Jack Perry landed on top of the concrete, the exposed concrete, and then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw Jack Perry. He had a steel chair in hand, and we had Aubrey Edwards end up confiscating the chair from Perry. Perry then jammed his knee into Dustin's back, and we had Dustin end up catching Perry with a power slam, followed up with a bulldog. So Dustin then ended up delivering some right hands on Perry in the corner. He then grabbed the chair in the ring. Of course, Aubrey Edwards once again ended up confiscating the chair. And Dustin then low-blowed Jack Perry in the corner while she was distracted while Aubrey was distracted. Dustin then delivered the bionic elbow to Perry. He then connected with the crossroads. We had Dustin end up going for the cover, and Jack Perry ended up kicking out. And, for this portion of the match, you had Dustin was bleeding like hell throughout this. So Jack Perry then delivered a knee to Dustin's midsection, which sent him crashing into the exposed middle turnbuckle. Dustin then rolled out of the ring. Jack Perry then followed Dustin out to the outside of the ring. So Jack Perry then delivered a DDT to Dustin on the exposed concrete, which was crazy. And Jack Perry then got back into the ring. Aubrey Edwards then began her 10 count, but Dustin ended up beating the count. And while Aubrey was looking away, Jack Perry delivered a low blow to Dustin. Dustin then ended up flipping Jack Perry off, but Jack Perry ended up delivering a running knee to Dustin. Jack Perry ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Jack Perry ended up winning the match, and he now qualifies for the TNT Championship ladder match at Forbidden Door. But overall, this was a decent match here between Jack Perry and Dustin Rhodes here. And then we had Rush versus Deonn Rusman. This was a squash match. This was just a way for them to give Rush some momentum. And the match got underway. Rush ended up wasting no time. He ended up going at it on Deonn Rusman. He delivered an elbow to Rusman, landed a chop on him on the outside, sent him crashing into the barricade. Then at the end of the match, Rush ended up connecting with the Bull's horns on Rusman, and that was that. Rush ended up picking up the win. Post-match, we had Rush end up grabbing the mic, and he stepped on top of Rusman. Rush ended up calling Rusman a typical and weak American. He then set Rusman up in the corner, and he looked to land the Bull's horns on Rusman for a second time. So before Rush can land the Bull's horns on Rusman, MJF ended up coming out. MJF ran down to the ring, and he began brawling with Rush. So the ref ended up calling for officials to separate both Rush and MJF. Also, security then ran down. Rush and MJF ended up fighting them all, and we have Rush and MJF. They were continuing brawling. MJF sent Rush crashing over the barricade and into the crowd. And so officials ended up chasing after the both of them as the officials ended up trying to separate MJF and Rush. MJF ended up firing off a right hand on Rush. Rush ended up landing some right hands of his own to MJF. MJF then dragged Rush through the crowd and also to the back. Rush then ended up sending MJF crashing into a road case. He then threw a bucket at MJF and sent MJF's face bouncing off a table. MJF then ended up sending Rush crashing through a table. Rush then ended up picking up a garbage can. He tossed it at MJF, and officials and members of the locker room ended up separating both MJF and Rush. And pretty much that was basically that. But overall, I really enjoyed this brawl between MJF and Rush here. MJF and Rush, they will deliver, one hell of a match here. This, in my opinion, was the best thing on Dynamite tonight. This whole brawl between MJF and Rush. This was better than the squash match that we just saw with Rush and Rusman. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw Roderick Strong, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita. They had taken on Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Mark Briscoe. And this was a okay matchup here. So the match ended up getting underway. Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy were in the ring. Cassidy immediately ended up tagging out to Kyle O'Reilly. Strong then ended up taking out to Kyle Fletcher. Kyle O'Reilly then delivered a kick to Kyle Fletcher's thigh. They were then exchanging forearms. Fletcher then ended up landing a shoulder tackle on O'Reilly. O'Reilly then turned Fletcher inside out with a knee to his midsection. And then O'Reilly then tagged in Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe ended up delivering a chop to Fletcher in the corner. He delivered a second chop off the middle turnbuckle to Fletcher. Takeshita then ended up tagging in. He ended up raking Mark Briscoe's eye. But Mark Briscoe then delivered a right hand to Takeshita's midsection. And Mark Briscoe then tagged in Orange Cassidy. Cassidy ended up looking to land a crossbody off the top rope, but he was caught by Takeshita. So Takeshita ended up leveling Kyle O'Reilly. He ended up sending Cassidy crashing into the canvas, and he fired off some strikes on Cassidy. Fletcher then tagged in. He ended up looking to land a double back elbow on Cassidy with Takeshita, but Cassidy ended up seeing the both of them come in, and Cassidy ended up delivering a double hurricanrana to both Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. So Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, Takeshita, Roderick Strong, and Kyle Fletcher then started brawling on the outside. Cassidy then ended up flying to level them all out on the outside, which was great. Cassidy then ended up staring down Trent Beretta. Of course, this awful feud is continuing, which sucks. Takeshita then ended up surprising Orange Cassidy, and he delivered a forearm to Cassidy, and then Takeshita then jammed his boot into Cassidy's neck, and then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong ended up tagging in. O'Reilly ended up leveling Roderick Strong with a pair of kicks. Fletcher then tagged in. Kyle O'Reilly then delivered a dragon screw to Takeshita through the middle rope. O'Reilly then delivered a double dragon screw to Takeshita and Fletcher. Roderick Strong ended up looking to land an angle slam on O'Reilly. So Mark Briscoe ended up tagging in. He fired off some chops on Fletcher. Kyle O'Reilly started brawling with Takeshita. O'Reilly then delivered a running boot to Fletcher before Mark Briscoe ended up delivering a strike to Roderick Strong. Mark Briscoe then connected with an enziguri on Roderick Strong. He ended up charging at Strong in the corner. Strong ended up catching Briscoe with a boot, and Briscoe ended up flying to land a dropkick on Roderick Strong. So he got Kyle Fletcher back inside the ring, and Orange Cassidy was now the legal guy, and ended up delivering a diving DDT off the top rope to Kyle Fletcher. Cassidy ended up going for the cover, but Fletcher ended up kicking out. So Cassidy was sent up for the orange punch, but Takeshita then grabbed Cassidy's leg. Fletcher then ended up landing a kick and a snapdragon suplex on Orange Cassidy. Kyle O'Reilly then ended up leveling Fletcher, but Roderick Strong ended up taking Fletcher down. Briscoe then ended up taking down Roderick Strong with a fisherman's buster, but Takeshita then leveled Mark Briscoe with a Blue Thunder Bomb. Cassidy then delivered a Tornado DDT to Takeshita, and then he ended up hitting a Stun Dog Millionaire on Fletcher. So both Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly then double teamed on Fletcher. And then Cassidy ascended to the top. Roderick Strong ended up grabbing Cassidy's leg, which gave Fletcher to deliver a brainbuster to Cassidy. So at the end of the match, we had Fletcher end up delivering the Kyle driver to Mark Briscoe, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Roderick Strong, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita ended up winning the match. Overall, thought this was a okay match here. Post-match, we had Trent Beretta end up taking out Orange Cassidy with some right hands. Fletcher ended up going after Mark Briscoe. And that led to Will Nightingale's music end up hitting. But Will Nightingale did not come out. So then we saw Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander dragged Will Nightingale on the ramp, and Statlander started beating down on Nightingale. Stokely Hathaway got on the mic. He started mocking Will Nightingale. Stokely then ended up warning Nightingale against involving herself in their business again. So then he had taken a picture of Will Nightingale laid out on the ramp, and pretty much that was basically that. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels ended up informing the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada that they will be competing in AEW World Tag Team Championship and a AEW Continental Championship Eliminator match next week, with everyone barred from ringside. So there you go. The Bucks and Okada will be competing in World Tag Team Championship Eliminator match and a Continental Championship Eliminator match. But next week, we're going to be seeing the Young Bucks. They're taking on the Acclaimed in a World Tag Team Championship Eliminator match. Who Okada will face, we don't know. And then we had Hook and Samoa Joe versus the Premier Athletes, Tony Nese and Ariya Daivari. Hook and Samoa Joe were accompanied by Katsuyori Shibata, and of course the Premier Athletes were accompanied by Mark Sterling. This was a squash match here. Hook and Samoa Joe end up winning the match, where you had Hook end up locking in Red Rum on Daivari. Daivari tapped out. Shibata ended up making Mark Sterling fade with a sleeper, and that was that. Just to give Hook and Samoa Joe some momentum. Overall, squash match it was. And then we had the TBS Championship on the line. Mercedes Mone defend the title against Zeuxis. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's from CMLL. And I'm like, what is Tony Khan's deal with CMLL? You know? But this was a okay match here. Match got underway. Both Monet and Zeuxis end up locking up. They end up going back and forth. Zeuxis end up landing a shoulder tackle on Mercedes. So then Zeuxis then delivered a right hand to Mercedes' spine. Mercedes then delivered the Deja Vu, and she then connected with a drop kick and delivered an overhand chop to Zeuxis. Monet then delivered an arm drag to Zeuxis, but Zeuxis ended up rolling her up, and Mercedes ended up kicking out. Zeuxis then delivered a roundhouse kick to Mercedes' head. Zeuxis then delivered a second kick to Monet, but Monet ended up tripping Zeuxis and sent her crashing to the floor on the outside. Using the commentator table, Zeuxis then delivered a kick to Monet's leg, and then delivered a drop kick that sent Monet crashing to the outside. And she then followed up with a tope suicida. And then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Zeuxis had a bow and arrow locked in on Mercedes Mone. Mercedes ended up escaping by countering into a pinfall, and Zeuxis ended up kicking out. Zeuxis ended up getting Monet on her shoulders, and she delivered a Liger bomb. She ended up going for the cover, and Mercedes ended up kicking out. Zeuxis ended up getting Monet back on her shoulders. Monet then countered into a Hurricanrana, and she ended up going for the cover, but Zeuxis ended up kicking out. So later on, Mercedes ended up delivering a Bulldog, and she delivered a pair of double knees to Zeuxis, and she followed up with a Meteora. Monet then ended up hitting a second Meteora off the middle rope to Zeuxis. She ended up going for the cover, but Zeuxis ended up kicking out. Mercedes then ended up going for the Three Amigos in honor of the late great Eddie Guerrero, but Zeuxis prevented Mercedes from landing a third one, and Zeuxis ended up delivering a double underhook lung blower. Zeuxis ended up looking to land a moonsault off the top rope, but Mercedes ended up avoiding that, and she ended up landing the Monet Maker, that awful finishing maneuver that she has. So Mercedes ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Mercedes Moné ended up winning the match, retaining the TBS Championship. Overall, this was a okay match here. And then we had a video of Mina Shirakawa, and also it showed Mariah May, the highlights from Shirakawa's, career, in Stardom. So we end up seeing that. And then we went backstage, and Renee Paquette was with Toni Storm. Mariah May was there along with Luther. So Toni Storm ended up addressing Mina ahead of their match at Forbidden Door. And Mariah ended up telling Toni Storm that Mina will be here next week. And Toni ended up telling Mariah that it's time for her personal wax. And also that there will be a contract signing next week between Toni Storm and Mina. And I'm like, does this really need a contract signing? Really? Oh my God. And then we get to, hey guys! Hi everybody! God. Fucking TV time with the learning tree. Jesus Christ. Man, every time Jericho is on TV with this awful, shitty gimmick, I'm sorry, Smiley Jericho. Hi guys! Hi everybody! God, how does this get worse every single week? When I saw Big Bill, because Big Bill was in the ring first, he ended up introducing Jericho, and then I heard the remotes being picked up by everybody and changing the channel. Once Jericho walked out, started smiling, along with Brian Keith coming out there. Then Jericho gets into the ring. Hi everybody! Hi guys! Hi! So Jericho then ended up asking the crowd, who wants more TV time? Not me. Not anybody else. Because this shit is fucking awful. So Jericho put over the new Learning Tree shirt, saying that, oh, it's a hot seller. It just went up on AEW Shop. And I'm like, who the fuck is going to buy a Learning Tree shirt? This is the absolute worst gimmick that Jericho has ever done. The absolute worst. Can we stop with this Learning Tree shit and just put it to an end? It's not working. So Jericho ended up saying that he was eating some local corn backstage and that it was a little ripe. So he gave Des Moines some advice about how to grow corn. So then he ended up introducing Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Wen. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Wen, they made their way down to the ring. Jericho ended up telling the both of them that their high flying is off the charts. Jericho ended up saying that Private Party have done a lot of great things, but they haven't won matches. He ended up saying that Private Party's basics in the ring aren't up to par. He then ended up saying that he knows a thing or two about the basics. Jericho ended up saying that Private Party can't even climb the top rope properly. And Isaiah Cassidy ended up telling Jericho to teach them, since him, Mark Wen, and the fans in Des Moines want to see it. So Cassidy ended up saying that Jericho is an original. And Jericho ended up ascending to the top. Jericho ended up showing Private Party how to climb up the ropes. And I'm like, are you serious? Are we really watching this? So Cassidy ended up pushing Jericho down. Private Party then ended up attacking Big Bill and Brian Keith. Cassidy ended up ascending to the top rope and landed a senton on Jericho. Mark Quinn then followed up with a moonsault off the top onto Jericho. And that was basically how this segment ended. I gotta give props to Private Party for saving us a little bit there. Well, overall, this segment was absolutely awful. Fucking awful. God, anytime Jericho, Big Bill, Brian Keith are on TV with the Learning Tree, it's channel changing garbage. It is absolutely shitty. Yeah, but we get more of Smiley Jericho. Hi guys. Hi everybody. How y'all doing? Yeah, I know this gimmick is shitty, but you know, I'll make you guys suffer with this shitty gimmick of mine. Yeah. Awful. Fucking terrible. Then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had Daniel Garcia versus Nick Comoroto. This was a quick match. Squash. Matt Menard was on commentary. Daniel Garcia ended up winning the match. Pretty much that was that. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Main event. Will Ospreay versus Rey Fenix for the International Championship. This was a very good match here between these two. Can't go wrong with Ospreay. He is great in the ring. Match ended up getting underway. Fenix and Ospreay end up firing off some right hands to one another. Ospreay then delivered a chop to Fenix. Both guys end up going back and forth. Ospreay delivered a chop to Fenix, but Fenix ended up responding with a hurricanrana to Ospreay. Fenix then delivered a chop to Ospreay on the apron, but Ospreay ended up sending Fenix crashing onto the floor with a boot. So Ospreay ended up looking to fly at Fenix, but Fenix ended up getting back inside the ring. So we had Fenix ended up delivering a boot through the ropes. He delivered a hurricanrana off the apron to Ospreay and then a frog splash off the top rope. And then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Fenix locked in an octopus on Ospreay. Ospreay ended up escaping out of that and sent Fenix crashing into the canvas. Ospreay then delivered a right hand to Fenix off the top rope. Ospreay then delivered a springboard kick to Fenix. And then Ospreay and Fenix, they were on the top rope. They were teetering. Fenix landed a kick on Ospreay's head. And both of them were still teetering on the top rope. Fenix then delivered an avalanche hurricanrana to Ospreay, which looked awesome. Ospreay landed on his feet, and he looked to land a tornado DDT, but Fenix landed on his feet. Fenix then delivered a roundhouse kick to Ospreay's head, but Ospreay connected with a super kick. Fenix then delivered a kick to Ospreay's midsection, but Ospreay ended up sending Fenix crashing into the canvas. He ended up going for the cover, and Fenix kicked out. And then Dynamite went to another commercial. Dynamite came back. Fenix locked in a submission on Ospreay. We have Fenix end up connecting with a crucifix bomb, and then he laid a suplex on Ospreay. But Ospreay ended up sending up Fenix for a Stormbreaker. Fenix ended up escaping, and Ospreay delivered an enziguri to Fenix. He then looked to land the Oz Cutter, and Fenix ended up avoiding it. But Ospreay ended up looking for to hit the Oz Cutter a second time, and he landed it on Fenix. Fenix ended up sending Ospreay crashing into the canvas, and he landed a thrust kick. Fenix then charged at Ospreay. Ospreay caught Fenix with a strike. He then ascended to the top, and he stared down Swerve Strickland, which Swerve Strickland was sitting at ringside with Prince Nana. So Ospreay looked at Swerve, and while he was on the top, he told Swerve it's his house. So Ospreay then delivered the Swerve Stomp to Fenix. And then he ended up hitting the Hidden Blade on Fenix. Ospreay ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Will Ospreay ended up winning the match, retaining the International Championship. Post-match, Swerve slowly got into the ring. Ospreay ended up offering Swerve his hand, as Prince Nana ended up joining Swerve in the ring. Swerve opted to not shake Ospreay's hand, and Swerve got in Ospreay's face. Swerve ended up telling Ospreay that he's not strong enough to hold both the AEW World Championship and the International Championship. He then looked to leave the ring. Ospreay grabbed the World Championship. He put the World Championship on his shoulder with the International Championship on his other shoulder. I gotta admit, Ospreay looked good with the two belts there. I mean, you could picture Ospreay holding both of the belts there if he won the World Championship, which obviously, he's not going to. So Swerve then whispered a warning into Ospreay's ear as he took back the World Championship. So he then left the ring with Prince Nana. Swerve and Ospreay then stared one another down as Dynamite went off the air. Overall, I thought this was a very good match between Will Ospreay and Rey Fenix here. Very, good back and forth action between the both of them. And really like what they're doing with Swerve and Will Ospreay. Set up for the match at Forbidden Door. It's very interesting stuff here. But overall, Dynamite was just a very mid-show tonight. Some matches, like the Deonn Rusman match, could have been left off the card. Smojo and Hook versus Tony Nese and Ariya Daivari, the premier athletes, that could have been a Rampage match. Danny Garcia versus Nick Comoroto, that could have been a Rampage match. These matches did not need to be on Dynamite tonight. I mean, I could understand the Roosh match because they want to give Roosh momentum when he faces MJF. But overall, like I said, it was just a mid-show tonight. But anyways, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all on Friday for SmackDown, which is going to be the go-home show for Clash at the Castle. So stay tuned for that. Oh, I forgot to mention, with Roosh and MJF, that match is going to be happening next week on Dynamite, and it's going to be commercial free. So no commercials during that match. We're just going to get the full match uninterrupted. So looking forward to that match. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and see you all Friday for SmackDown.